Quiet on the set. I don't know why I say that. I just like saying that.
We are live.
All right, let's go live on the butt.
Two ball guys with Ranch and Rhyme. Two ball guys with Ranch and Rhyme. Two ball guys with Ranch and Rhyme. Along bringing Monday morning time to rise and shine. Want some motivation? Well, I know a few guys with the internet connection. 216 is on. Tune in. The two ball guys with Ranch and Rhyme. Introduce the coach, Papa Tim Stewart's his name. He's a master with the pen in the poetry game. He wants to see a better world and he plays his part. Always loving, always giving, cause he's got a big heart. The co-host won't boast, but he can stand on his own. From the state of Iowa, it's the man Ken Jones. He's impressive on the mic and he don't need a cord. Whether hosting or he's hooping, he's controlling the boards. And the one feeding the hungry herd around the world. With Tommy Observation, dropping nuggets and pearls. No, not a city slicker, he's as cool as the Fonz. It's the witty rhythm giver, Mr. Rancher Ron. Set the tone for your week, 216 is on. Tune in to Two Ball Guys with Rancher Ron.
Yes, and welcome into Ball
Guys and a microphone.
Of course, brought to you through the support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, massage therapy, reflexology, acupuncture, Thai yoga massage. If you've got stress and you're holding it anywhere in any of those muscles, which our body tends to do, jump over there. They've got a house full of licensed massage therapists. Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190. And of course, if you paddled that 4 miles, 4 point something miles this past weekend with the damn yak, you just might have a little bit of a shoulder muscle soreness there. Coach, you're a big part of that. I know you were out of town, but what a great event that was.
Did you make it down there?
I did not. No.
Yeah, they had over 150 boats in the water. There's some videos at the Damn Yak Challenge on the Facebook page, but it was I had a good talk with Phil Sweeney, and Phil basically said it was a huge success. So
getting better every year, which is great. And of course, all the proceeds there go to help kids in need over in Crystal Lake, which is just
that's we on the Red Day for Reverend Williams. I joined him at the house in Crystal Lake for kids in need, where foster kids can meet their birth parents in a safe environment. It was they really do some special work there, so it's a very worthy cause.
Great stuff. Of course, if it looks funny, well, that's just because you got two bald guys at a microphone. But you are out traveling around for the next 3-4 weeks. A big day today for you, as well as you are the keynote for the Zig Ziglar Foundation's Monday morning.
I am. Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful morning. And I know today's going to be a good show because I woke up about every 14 minutes.
I did too this week.
So, it's been interesting. We were in Murfreesboro, Tennessee for 5 days with our grandson Ethan at a soccer camp called the Olympic Development Program. So these are very high-level soccer players. So got to watch a lot of great soccer, meet some good people. And then today we're in Small Stone, Arkansas, or Little Rock, whatever you want to call it. But they spent the night in Little Rock. We're at a Comfort Inn and Suites right by the Hillary and Bill Clinton Airport. So
nice.
It's
nice. Well,
a beautiful day.
There, of course, we love the Clintons. Don't need that blood trail. Anyway, Ted Legal, good morning. Glad you're feeling better, buddy. I know you were battling a little something there last week, so glad to have you with us this morning and feeling better. Of course, we are talking about the power of no. The power of the word N-O, and that's a hard word for a lot of people to say when it comes to themselves.
And what do you mean by that, Mr. Jones?
Well, the no that we direct to ourselves comes from an internal self-governor, right? Whose job is to contain our urges and manage our priorities it really, within like that iron fist reason, right? This is no. Right. I'm not going to eat bad. I'm not going to, I'm going to say no to alcohol. I'm going to say no to drugs. I'm going to say no to sweets. I'm going to say no to saying no to all that. Right.
And that's where most of us say no to.
Right. And all our lives, we work on refining that self-governor, tweaking it, building it, shoring it up. The interesting thing is, I don't think we understand the huge rewards of our governor, developing that ability to say no. Why is that?
Well, I think that after time for hearing so much no from everybody else, we just we don't say it to ourselves. I deserve that donut, doggone it. I deserve that, and we get this feeling like, if it tastes bad, it has to be good for you. If it tastes good, of course it's good for you. And but we just get down a stream where we lose perspective, I think, on what's really good for us. We go by what we enjoy and not by what we need.
Well, why? So we go back to what we talked about a little bit last week. Is that no is not a negative word, but we've been programmed that no is negative. I hear a loop.
Yeah, give me a second. There we go.
All right. Very good. I was like, I heard myself. Wait a minute. My therapist says I'm getting better at that.
But I told him no.
Yeah. We have grown up and been programmed that no is a negative word, when no is a very, very positive word, and we should celebrate that. Oh, I want that donut. I deserve, that's a reward. Well, not having it could be a better reward than having it. And we aren't programmed that way. So how do we program ourselves from saying no is negative to no is an absolute positive must?
Great question, which you ask a lot of during our time on the show. And I think it really comes down to the little thing called due diligence. When we understand what trouble the yes has gotten us into over the years. Did I lose you?
Nope, we're here.
Okay. For some reason, there was dead air on my end. And I think we try to justify everything in our mind. And sometimes we need to just not do that. I mean, you made the choice this year to not drink alcohol, not for health reasons, not for any other reasons other than to just test your ability to manage it. And I think more of us need to do something along those lines. I mean, Zig Ziglar said, I weighed over 200 pounds for most of my adult life because I never ate anything on accident. And I fell down, that cherry pie just fell into my mouth.
Yeah.
It becomes a choice. And, it's funny. And yesterday we were following a couple of men into a restaurant where we were eating, and they're clearly, brilliant men. They're having a high level discussion about business. Yet one of them is smoking a cigarette walking in the door. I just had to think, with all the knowledge we have today, why do we continue to do stuff like this to ourselves? And it's just our subconscious. When we learn how to take control of our subconscious, we can learn how to take control of our life. And that no that you're talking about, it doesn't exist inside of our subconscious if we don't put it there.
Yeah. So I just put up there on screen, how do you talk to your space self? And we don't talk to our self. I'm going to always hesitate there, so it's not yourself as one word, but your self, as we talk to, let's say, a kid. Let's say one of our children, let's say one of our athletes, let's say one of our employees. We talk more positively to them
Mhm.
than we do our self. So if we would talk with our self like we talk to a child, can that make the difference in the word no?
I believe it could. How many of us would be thrown in jail for slander the way we talk to ourselves?
Yeah.
I mean, just this morning I was working on the PowerPoint for my talk later on, and one of my slides came up out of order. I'm like, man, I'm glad I practiced that this morning. You dummy, how'd you wind up putting that one there? And it just that self-talk slides in there, and it's like, I don't need to talk to myself like that.
Right.
But I think, in the world of bullying, we could all be accused of bullying ourselves sometimes, of not slowing down. I know, in the world of Noah St. John and affirmations, learning to manage and control what goes into our brain, to let go of the negative thoughts,
Yeah.
and move forward. Is it going to stop the negative thoughts from coming in? No, but what you need to do is just let them go right on through.
Well, I think when you caught yourself talking to yourself, well, you dummy, what? That's where we have to say no. Stop.
Yep.
Stop. I will not talk to myself that way. I wouldn't talk to an athlete that way. I wouldn't talk to an employee that way. I want to build them up and help them be better. I want to drive positiveness into people's lives, and that's what this show is all about. Yet when I talk to self, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. Why?
I remember one of my coaches a long time ago. He handed out one earplug to each person, and he said, put that earplug in. He says, I want to make sure what I say goes in one ear and stays.
Yeah, there you go.
And I remember thinking the way growing up in the 60s and 70s, and the mentality of some of the coaching back then was, we have to make men out of these young men. We have to drive them. They have to learn to grow through adversity. But yet I don't remember a lot of the positive things they said.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of the negatives. And I've gone through an entire career, 45 years of coaching. I've always tried to be the opposite of that. I always tried to encourage. I tried to work it out of people. But to your point, not to myself. I continue when I fall short of what I considered success in a particular endeavor. I'd be, oh man, you did it again, and oh man, you did it again. Well, I'm learning to get control of that, but it's not an easy task.
Yeah. And Ted says, I strive to spend an hour per day to talk to myself, and it does help. The power of no helps you learn your worth and helps keep you from being overwhelmed. So Ted, is it you put it in your calendar, and then you sit in your car, your office, your living room, and mumble to yourself? I mean, when you say you spend an hour per day to talk to self, and I'm gonna put a space between that myself, because you sit. I mean, people look at you very strangely then, and no, damn it, stop, right? No, don't worry. That's just Ted's hour to talk to self. He's having an argument with you. Yeah, right. And I kid around. I don't. It's interesting to me because I don't calendar out or do that. What I do is I try to be very very in the moment, very zen. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Interesting why I did that. And what helped me this year was the challenge to not drink, because I go to places and I go, early. You go to a social function or something like that, and you're like, I would have just grabbed a beer there, or got an old fashioned or something, and sitting around the fire with the neighbors. No need to have a beer, but I would just be drinking a beer because
Just because.
And I started listening to self, going, "Oh, you really don't need it. Why?" Why would you do that? Now, this past weekend, one of the neighbors had a graduation party for their son, graduated high school, and of course, it's 12:30 at night. We're sitting around at the fire. Now, let me back up a little bit. Great party, first of all, and Eric and I, the my neighbor, we ran cornhole, or we ran bags pretty much all day. We were undefeated. It was a good time. It was a good time because we were winning all the time too. But at about I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock, after a long day in the heat or whatnot, I went in. I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go in." We're watching Ashley's dogs. She's out of town for a couple of weeks, so we're watching her dogs. So I'm gonna go in and spend some time with the dogs, make sure they're not tearing up the house. And uh, the interesting thing is that I'm sitting there kind of relaxing after a nice day. Man, they did it they did it old school Midwest. They had a hog roast. I mean, it was the whole hog right on the spit. I mean, it was delicious, and it was just a good time. And and so I'm sitting there and I'm done. I'm just kind of wiped out. And Alice, she goes next door, and then they're sitting by the fire. And of course, my phone's up in my office being charged. I don't always have it with me when I'm in my house, and they start blowing up the house. Well, then they send in Lucy. Hey, everybody's out by the fire. I want you to come over, sit by the fire. Okay. And then I said, no, I'm done. I'm done. So I said no. Then Alice comes over. Hey, what's going on? Everybody's sitting by the fire. And so I eventually go, okay. And I go out, and it's about 12:30 at night, for crying out loud. I went out there at about 10. So we're sitting around the fire for a few hours. I'm out there. It's about 12:30. And the next thing you know is I'm just sitting there. Everybody's drinking. Alice and I are not drinking, and you could tell they've been drinking for several hours, and it was just fun, and we laughed and had a good time. And I sat there and listened and just said, "Huh, see, you didn't need to wake up tomorrow morning feeling like the bottom of a shoe, and you can still have a good time, which is awesome."
Well, and I've always said I can wait till everybody else has a couple of beers and I can just act myself.
Right. But the interesting thing is, I said no, I said no, I said no, and then I went out. And when I'm getting into bed at like 1 o'clock, I'm like, yeah, this is way too late. Why did I even go out there? And I didn't have the power to say, I did have the power to say no. I didn't have the power to follow through with no.
Well, I think at that point, though, you said a couple of no's, and there was some encouragement from some pretty important people in your life. And this wasn't you weren't saying no to heroin. You weren't saying no to, driving drunk. You were saying no to going out and sitting by the fire and having a good time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You took the time to make a good quality decision based on the input that you have. And when your wife came in and said, please, that's like in the military when your commanding officer asks you to please do something. That was an implied order. And anything that comes from our wife works the same way.
Yeah.
Say no to everything but the wife.
Lisa, good morning. Lisa Eflin, of course, from Lisa's Changing Perceptions. And she says, why is Pete commenting? And I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe you're in a weird place in life, Lisa. But our good old friend Uncle Pete, of course. No, the real story there is we of course own the rights to that, and we do use Uncle Pete in the morning quite often here at 21.6 the Net, just because he's a good guy, right? Ted says basically what I do is it is scheduled. I do calendarize the self-talk portion of the day in my room, usually talking about the positive things I did that day and briefly telling myself where I should have applied the no principle and didn't. Reminding myself of how saying no when I should have could have created a better day. That's interesting. For how long have you been doing that? And Ted's one of the most positive guys that I know. He's an inspiration to me. He's a entrepreneur, and is a guy who doesn't see any hurdles, which is fantastic. He's Lisa says, "Well, that's all truth, but I am weird every day." Pete is commenting. Yeah. So yeah, so that's interesting. How long have you been doing that? Have you seen positive outcomes from that? I don't. Coach, do you do a recap of the day?
I do. At the end of the day, we do just a 5-question thing. I have it set up on my phone to pop up and remind me, have I walked in my faith today? What good have I done? What could I have done better? So at the end of the day, about 9 o'clock in the evening, it pops up and it asks me these 5 questions.
Yeah.
And I take a look at them, and sometimes I have to say, no, this wasn't my best day. I down here at this camp, this new process this new certification I have in combat brain training is it's a powerful piece for peak performance in athletes. And being in a program called the Olympic Development Program, I met a couple of really strong contacts for future business, but I had to say no to to the conversation because I'm here watching my grandson, and I don't want to muddy the waters, but just talking to one of my new friends, Anthony Sampson, is a superintendent in schools in a very challenged environment in Georgia or Alabama, and so we talked a little bit about the process, how it works with students in schools, and he's like he wanted more, he wanted to talk more, and I said, well, tell you what, let's do that later. I'll be more than happy to reach out to you after the camp, but I'm here for my grandson this week. One of the coaches I had in life several years ago told me anytime you say yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else because our lives are filled from beginning to end today. And when I say yes to going to a networking event, I'm saying no to going to my grandson's basketball game. When I'm saying yes to going to help Kent clean up his backyard, I'm saying no to mowing my lawn. And so there's always, even with every yes we say, there's a no involved. But sometimes we have to take the time and step back and say, should I say yes to that? What am I saying no to? And it takes thought. It takes slowing down enough to realize that there's more to every response, whether it's a yes or a no. There's more to it than just the words or the actions, whatever they may be.
Let's hold that thought for just a second. I want to get to Lisa's comment. Lisa says, I've learned anyone who pushes my no through guilt, manipulation, peer pressure, whatever the list, doesn't have my best interest in mind, so therefore no longer has my attention. Fun pressure by close people, it's a little bit different.
Right.
And we could talk about that maybe next week in part 3 of the power of no. But the interesting thing to me again is the self when you're talking to your space self. Now Ted says he definitely is a positive outcome and helps build a better positive mindset. Let's swim in that for a minute, because Coach, I think, hey, when I say yes to you, I say no to something else, and when I say no to you, I say yes to that's a very, to me, that's a negative battle that just isn't healthy.
I respectfully disagree. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Basic law of physics. Anytime you're saying, as you just put it, if I'm saying no to this, I'm saying yes to something else, or if I'm saying yes, I'm saying no. It's just the way life is. Life happens that way. I mean, can you say yes to something, whatever it is, that doesn't contain some sort of sacrifice? Yes, I'm going to go to breakfast with Don. So no, I can't do your show this morning.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I love I can say yes to the love of my life because she is. What am I sacrificing?
Well, a relationship or a possible relationship with someone else.
Well, why?
I'm not talking about someone else.
That's what I'm saying. You see what I mean? So yes, I can say absolutely yes to her love unequivocally for the rest of my life without sacrificing anything.
Well, don't call it a sacrifice.
But
change the name.
That's what you said.
You're saying anytime you say yes to something on your calendar, you're saying no to something else that potentially could be on your calendar. Everything's a give and take. And now, in the case of not drinking alcohol, that's not going to have any effect on anything else except maybe a positive effect on you, but it's not going to affect your calendar in any way, shape, or form. But look at all the choices that we've had to make with the radio station over time. When we said yes to 101.3 over in Harvard, we said no to sleeping a lot. So, I mean, it's just every situation carries a different, but it is.
Yeah, now Lisa's going to say that to me is too much mental trauma and thought. LOL. What does your gut say? Where are you pulled naturally? What feels right?
Well,
good morning, sis. Every inauthentic yes goes against oneself. Our better self is never happy with being second priority.
Nice.
I would agree, right? So and a lot of the world, a lot of what people do, a lot of who people are is, well, I saw a bumper sticker. This is, if you say no, you're saying yes to something else. If you say yes, you're saying no to something else. And those are words to live by. There's a lot of good, and we've gone through already in the short time that we've been back on air as two.
And a microphone.
That the self-help punchy stuff is all good. It's nice to be able to jump into a warm bed at night. Those are all feel good things. But no is not a negative all the time. And especially when you're governing your own parameters, right? It's a positive. I'm going to say no to smoking. Why?
No, it's not healthy.
I love to smoke. What do you mean it's not healthy? Hell, back in the 70s, the surgeons were outside having a cigarette in the middle of a surgery. Like, hey, 4 out of 5. I can show you advertisements where 4 out of 5 doctors recommend the cool toasted taste of Camel. Right. So yeah, hey, right. And I love doing it. It's a stress reliever. I love smelling like an ashtray.
Well, you're talking about self-justification now, which we can justify anything we want to. I can justify that donut because I own the donut shop. Therefore, I have to eat more donuts.
Right. And that's that battle of self. That's, how do we help ourself understand that no is a positive, not a negative. Lisa says, some of the greatest things that have ever happened to me came out of doing something I didn't know why I was doing it, but felt I was supposed to. No thought, really, just following my instincts. I think we can take our we can think our ways out of life. Well, and to that I would battle as well, because I think we don't think enough through life.
Well, Jeff Foxworthy has one good statement. He says, I think smart people never accomplish anything because they just sit around and think all day long. I think there's got to be a balance to it. Following your instinct is one thing, and that's, with this training I'm doing, it's a lot about learning to follow your instinct and trust your instinct. But at the same time, there has to be some discernment in there. I mean, I think there was a song, or what part of no don't you understand? Some people just blanketly say yes. And as Shana referred to, every inauthentic yes goes against oneself. Yeah, when you say yes and you can't do what you just agreed to, that's a problem everywhere. And I think taking that time, let me get back to you on that. No may be the right thing. It may be the positive choice. Yes may be the right thing. But, yes can be as loaded with negative as no can be loaded with positive. We do have to step back and look. We can't just constantly, go on our instinct. Yeah, our instinct moves us in the right direction, but then you have to really take a moment, as you said, and think about it.
Hey, you're listening to 21.6 The Net. This is two bald guys and a microphone kicking off every week strong right here. And of course, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190. But if you're in business, Ted, finish this sentence. No doesn't mean no. No means, right? So throughout society, throughout everything, we're programming, hey, no just means no. We hear that when it comes to the body, to situations, right? Think and or reflect. There is a balance in that, says Lisa. You can think but also reflect. You have to have achieve the ability to discern what you feel and know what is a true instinct. There.
Thanks, Ted. I knew I liked you for some reason. This whole world, there are so many distractions and so many things going on in our life. I think we don't slow down long enough to think about our no or to think about our yes. We're in constant motion. You've said it before. If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So all of our time is put into our calendar. My Calendly link that people can go on and schedule time for me connects to my calendar, and if I don't put something into the calendar, it'll double book, and it's that's on me because I didn't take the time to do what I was supposed to do because I was distracted, by something else. And we just need to slow down.
Well, and Ted finishes the sentence. No doesn't mean no. It means maybe or not right now. So
right.
We're taught that no, just going to push it back a little bit and push it off. So it doesn't mean no. And that is when we are saying that no is a negative thing, right? Many companies are like, go for the no. There's a book out there. Go for the no. Get your one step closer to a yes, right? All those goofy things. Shana says some of the most brilliant people use self-restriction and saying no to themselves to make life more of a struggle. It's believed to help get them in a mental space benefiting creativity. Absolutely. Yeah. And the issue we have, I think, and the reason that our self-governing no is so difficult to use is that we don't know how to please our self.
Yeah.
It's never good enough. That's why we have eating disorders. That's why people are or addicts to whatever the case may be, because we grow up thinking that no is negative and no is not enough, perhaps. And really through and I'll go to that, the time to think and or reflect. um I don't know if you need to some people may. I don't need to set a time to go, okay, let's take a look at the day. Let's take a look at the to-do list. Yep, check, check, check. Oh gosh, I didn't get to that. Let me circle it. Let me put it up to the next day. Blah, blah, blah. Right. The bottom line is, I think we need to be more zen. We need to be more in the moment. I think you have to reflect and think now. I can't be thinking of what I have today at 10:40 a.m. I have to be thinking about the show. I have to be thinking in the moment. Coach, when you are mowing your lawn, what do?
Mow my lawn.
All right. So when I mow my lawn, I put in my earbuds, I play music, and I'm just mowing the lawn. I went out at 10:30 yesterday, working in the yard. I didn't get done until 1:30, and I was soaking wet, but I was in it. It was therapy for me. I was just mowing the lawn. I wasn't thinking about today's show. I wasn't thinking about what I was going to have for lunch. I wasn't thinking about anything other than what I was doing. And I was just in the moment. We have to be able to say no to getting out over our skis. We have to think right now in the moment.
Well, and when as you know, I get out and ride my bike, either my Trek or my Mara, and I get out for at least 100, 120 miles a week. And when I'm out there, I have my earbuds in, I'll start listening. But after a while, I just like pulling them out, because out on the trails, the sounds of the little birds flitting back and forth, I think it's important time. One of the things I've heard this before, but I just want to look it up, says the average toddler hears the word no an astonishing 400 times a day. According to experts, it's not only tiresome, but it can also be harmful. Now, if you go to child psychology and these psychology experts, and they say that most of our characteristics are locked in stone by the time we're 8 years old. And if you hear the word no 20,000 times by the time you're 7 or 8 years old, it gets stuck in us. And for when our parents are talking to us, no, man, no, don't touch that. No, you can't go to the show. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. And that gets ingrained in us at a very young life, that no isn't a positive thing. It's a stop. How do we reprogram our mind to what you're saying? I mean, just listening to two bald guys and a microphone on a Monday morning,
big jump.
It's a start, but it's just that. It's a start. How do we rethink that? How do we retool our brain to accept no as a positive event?
Well, I think you have to be able to understand when it keeps you true to your principles and values. And I think as a parent, and it's easy for us now. Our kids are grown, but the idea is to use positive stories, positive
reinforcement
circumstances, not necessarily reinforcement. I don't want to give you a cookie when I say no. What I want to say is listen, this is we'll go back to sixth grade health class. This is a healthy lung. This is a lung that's from a smoker who smoked for 20 years, and it's black and tarry and nasty, right? So here's why you would say no. You want to have a healthy lung so you don't die when you're 26 from lung cancer, right? So when we say no, and we use a story like that, it's a beautiful thing when it keeps you true to your principles and values, emotionally, spiritually, even professionally, right? Um, it is easy for people to say no and learn that no is good if it's taught that way. Okay, so in the battle of not having alcohol is understanding that, oh, my knees don't hurt, I don't wake up with the dry heaves, I my head isn't pounding, I'm not out of control because my inhibition, so I'm not eating a frozen pizza and a bag of Doritos at midnight, right? So now I'm healthier. Life is good, which is so. Ted says, so Kent, what happens if a business deal comes up during your yard time that needs immediate attention? Does this derail your yard work time? No, it doesn't. And here's why. Everybody that I work with, I let them know I will pick up the phone at any time unless I'm sitting at the table or doing something with my family. It's the only time I won't. But if you call and I don't answer, as soon as that time is over, I will absolutely call you back. Now, in the business that I'm in, a lot of my referral partners know that and understand that. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean could mean that I'm at a basketball game, I'm doing something with my family. Are you calling me? What?
I'm just seeing what you'll do if I call you during the radio show.
Oh, interesting. I was like, I don't know, maybe you can't hear me. That's why I was like, are you calling? So the interesting thing is, to me, is that it doesn't. This is my time. I can absolutely positively say no. Now, you have heard me say it, Coach, and I say it all the time. When this thing rings, I make money, so I try to answer it whenever I can. But at no point will that interfere with dinner time or with family time. And if I'm in a place of zen, then no, it can ring and I'll get it when I'm done.
So I really appreciate what's just happened because you've accused me of this for so long. You really haven't answered my question. You've just talked a lot. How do you, if this has been ingrained in you since you were a child, how do you begin to reprogram your thought processes that no is a positive thing?
Yeah, that's what I did answer that.
You told us how you did it. Okay, how can our listeners, what are some of the steps they can take to start accepting no as a more positive event, other than just looking at you and say, hey, I want to be just like Kent. That Kent, he's cool.
No, the true answer is sitting in the moment, being zen, being present right now. It's a hard thing for people to do. Nobody is. So many people that are listening to this show as they're prepping for their work week are thinking about their entire week. They're not thinking about the moment. You and I sleep horribly on Sundays because we are anticipating this show and everything's swirling through our mind. And it's been that way since, 2016, the night before a show. It's not that way with, when I do the grounds and I do bridging civil tension, but Friday mornings, I get good sleep on Thursday because those are different shows. They mean they're just different types of shows. And so the interesting thing is, to me, I say it's interesting, is that I have had to understand the moment, not well, if I say no, then I'm saying yes to something else. No, it's right now, right here, this moment. I've got to say no right now. The people who wanted me to come outside, were like, they felt bad about it, right? They felt bad about it because it means that they pushed me to do something that I didn't necessarily want. No, I had it. It was my choice. I said no. I said no. I said no, and I said, okay, I'll go out there. Because I enjoy the people. Truth be told is I would have been just fine going to bed. Right? I would have had just as much fun, I'm sure. Right? It's just the way to do it. But if you've been programmed that no is negative, no is negative, no is negative, then you have to take a look at it and say, what positive is coming out of this? I didn't have I enjoyed having a cold beer after, like yesterday would have been a great day. It was hot, it was muggy, it was a perfect summer day here in Illinois to spend that many hours out in the yard. It would have been great to have an ice cold beer. Would have tasted awesome. But so did the ice water. And to that is, I'm not bloated, I'm not gassy, I'm not, my joints aren't. So it's understanding the moment and being in the moment, not concerned about what somebody else is going to think or how this is going to reflect. So here, the ability to say no and how you have to learn it is when you throw a heavy stone into a pond, you have to think of the point of contact, not the ripple that hits the shore. Okay? You have to think of, hey, if I throw that out there, I just want to see this splash. So many times, a lot of positive motivational speakers, hey, a small stone creates a ripple all the way out to the shore, maybe even waves at that point. Think of that point of contact. I was in the Upper Peninsula when my kids were small, and we were at Racehorse Rapids, it's called. And we were hiking the trails, and Lucy must have been just a baby. She was on my back, I think. And so this is 13 years ago or more. It might even have been Colette who was on my back. But so 13 years ago, and I tell the kids, I'm like, pick up a stone and throw it in that river. You want to change the world? You just change the world, because that river will never flow the same way again because of where you put that stone. So if you want to create a no as a positive, you have to be willing to throw a stone into a river that you're never going to see the change, but understand that the change was made.
Well, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I'm just saying. Right. But no, you're absolutely correct. I mean, do something. There's so many people sitting back doing nothing these days that you want to change the world, you got to do something.
Because they're worried that no is going to ripple out to 17 people later or 17 days later. No. Right now, see where you're dropping that stone, see where you're putting the stone, and understanding that you've made the decision to put that stone there, and then you live with it, and then you understand, and it's good. Ted says to the question that he asked when the phone rings, not to me, creates an opportunity to find out why it needs to be a no with my clients. Once you know the client's reason for no, then you know if it's a hard no or a workaround no to a positive ending. Well, in business, it all depends how hungry you are, and is it what you would say a hard no or a walk around no? Now, it could be a hard no to me, and you're going, hey, it's a workaround no. Next thing you know, you're getting bad reviews on Google, right? Ted says, start incorporating no in ways that a no benefits you. Absolutely. It's a great way to start as well.
What are some ways that a no could benefit you?
Well, take a look at smoking. We'll stay with smoking. If you stop smoking, then you can breathe. You can. How many people, Coach? You used to smoke. I used to smoke. How many times do people stop smoking? And go, wow, food tastes better. Wow, I can taste food.
I can breathe going up a flight of stairs.
Right, right. I'm not hacking up a lung. There's a lot of positives that you can incorporate, but those are just positives. It has to be in the moment. It has to be that, wow, I can taste this steak or whatever the case may be.
Besides alcohol, what's something you said no to along these lines in the last few weeks?
So what I've done is I've created another challenge for myself, but basically in the last week I've said no to sitting around doing nothing. So I call it NEM, or non-exercise movement. I don't have to go to a gym necessarily, or I don't have to ride 26 miles, which I know you enjoy doing. But maybe it's just getting up and doing woodworking. It's just moving. It's non-exercise movement. So I've said no to being sedentary and saying I'm just going to sit around and watch TV. So again, another challenge has been to only watch 53 minutes of TV per day. And everybody's like, 53, my family, 53 minutes, Dad, you can't get through a whole show. I know. Isn't that interesting? Because it's usually at the end of the show where you say, just one more.
Yeah.
Let me watch this one. Next thing you know, you've binged for 6 hours.
Well, here's a no I've got coming up next Monday. Is the 25th of July.
Yeah.
And that is the day that my daughter-in-law is going to be induced to have our 12th grandchild. So I will be saying no to the show next week. And it'll be entire family day and growing the family day. So Ted, Shayna, Lisa, Kent's going to need a co-host next week. So,
if the baby doesn't come before then.
Yes, if the baby comes before then I'll probably be up feeding the baby. But it's
that's a weird thing when she's breastfeeding. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a whole different show. Maybe you might just want to say no to that.
I would say no to that line of thought.
Yeah, Ted says I said no to skipping my gym time for watching TV with my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, so now he's in the gym, right?
Watching TV with his daughter on the big screen over the treadmill.
Skipping gym time. He's not skipping gym time. He said no to skipping gym time. So
Gotcha.
he said, I got to go to the gym, get those healthy benefits. The ability to see no as a positive is to be so incredibly clear of your core principles that it isn't even attractive. Yeah, you have to be very, 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 you have to be very, 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 very clear with your principles and why you're doing it. I have found that when I challenge myself, not myself, but myself, that I follow through and things happen when I challenge self.
Yeah.
If I try to do it for myself, one word, I think, oh yeah, man, I did the keto diet, man. It was great. I lost 19 pounds, gained 28 back when I got done with the diet. Hey, I did this diet or that diet. Yep. And then it's not a lifestyle. It's not a challenge.
Yo.
And remember that if you lose something, your brain intentionally tries to find it. That's what your brain does.
That's what it does.
Tries to, I lost my keys. Oh, let me start rolling through how to find it. I lost 12 pounds. Well, guess what? We'll find it. Right. That's what it does.
Thanks, Ted. I appreciate you.
But the word no, you do have to be very, 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 very clear in your core principles and be comfortable with who you are, because saying no can help move the dial to such a positive place. How about you, Coach? What do you do? What have you said no to get that extra benefit?
Well, I've had to learn how to say no to just a lot of things. A lot of my clients are very needy. And part of my life coaching program is what they pay for is weekly meetings, one meeting a week, and then one additional time when they're in crisis, or not even, doesn't even have to be a bad crisis. They just need a phone call. Well, I found out that got kind of out of control, especially with one of my clients, and I had to say no to the extra call unless it is a life threatening thing, and that freed up more time for me to spend with the thing. Because as silly as it seems, I didn't do that for them. I did it for me because I felt important when they would call me in a crisis, and I could talk them down off the shelf, even though it helped them. It was somewhat selfish on my part, but I would take these random calls, and these random calls would come at the most inopportune time when I was with family or doing something else. It wasn't scheduled, so therefore it could be anytime. And I've said no to that. That was not a good part of my coaching process. That it just kind of opened up to. It was a wormhole that wasn't good, didn't have a positive ending. So, I mean, that's one of the things that it's freed up more time, and it really expanded family time for us.
Well, I think that the way to start saying no is to understand it's very personal. It has nothing to do with you. Right. I'm not saying no to you. It may be coming out of my mouth, hey, do you want to do this? And I say no. I'm saying no because of my boundaries, because of what I feel is appropriate or in good space. Where a lot of people will say, oh, I can't say no because it's coach.
Yeah, don't I wish that was the case. So, well, and this morning I posted out, I'm speaking at the Ziegler Corporation. That's a big deal. So I sent the invitation to a lot of friends. If they want to join the Zoom call this morning, they're welcome to. I'm not going to worry about the ones who say no, but I will be appreciative of the ones who are able to take the time, because I understand everybody's busy.
Yeah.
But those no's, I think they're powerful.
Yeah, I like what Shane. I've been working on saying no to staying in unproductive conversations that tempt me to lower my character. Difficult for me. Which is difficult for a lot of people.
It's one of the reasons we don't talk politics on 216 and that, specifically on Two Ball Guys and a microphone, because those conversations are never productive.
Yeah. And Shana, yes, somebody does have a birthday this week. Derek Bear actually has a birthday tomorrow on the 19th.
Happy birthday to you.
So it'd be good. I don't know. Well, he's not in the studio this week, so Derek will have a good day. I think he and his wife are out gallivanting around again. That I don't know. So yeah, Derek Bear, the July 19th, always the day after the 18th and before the 20th. So there you go. And my son does too. Spencer's got a birthday on the 20th. So there you go. A couple people with birthdays this week. And my sister-in-law, Amy, on the 21st. So yeah, busy week. 3 days of birthdays. Fantastic. Perfect. That's right. So the fun part, maybe I should have said no, but look at that. I said yes. A lot of people do. Here's the beauty of what we do. All we want to do is stretch your brain a little bit. We want to poke it around. We want to help you look at life differently and through a different lens. If the answer for you is no, then that's good.
No, I don't want to say no. But I would throw a challenge out too, because we are continuing next week in this series of no's. Is this week, look for opportunities where saying no is a positive thing for you or for someone else, for your business, and share those with us next week when you come back.
And maybe saying no to no
is
a positive thing. Eating that bowl of ice cream, having that extra piece of bacon.
When you say no to no, that makes it a yes. But when you say yes to yes, That also makes it a yes. So I think we're way more positive here than we know.
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 You've been listening to KNOW radio.
That's right. Of course, that's going to pull us right into the back end of this show. We can't thank y'all enough for jumping in. Absolutely love the input, the grind that's out there. I'll be back for sure next week. I'll share the link. You can all jump on. We can have a good time. But next week we'll do how to say no to people, which is important, and how to say no to people without feeling bad. There you go. For all of us here, 21-6 the net. Thanks for getting caught in the net with us this morning. Make this week the best week that you've ever had. And remember, on Fridays, you're in the know with Steph and Joe, but not that no. It's the other no.
Okay.
Don't say no to that no.
So, well, this is Tim Stewart. I am Coach Papa, and I do approve this message. Now, get off the bench and get back in the game. You've been listening to Two Ball Guys at a Microphone.